So the media frenzy surrounding the murder of Gabby Petito has sparked a conversation over racial disparities in the coverage of missing persons cases. Research suggests that young white victims gain more traction in the media, but that could be changing as families of missing people of color speak out about the lack of coverage for their loved ones. So joining me now to discuss this is Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, Jeanis. Thank you so much for joining us, Michelle. So this is in no way an attempt to diminish the tragedy of the Gabby Petito case at all. And, and I think we can recognize that in her particular case, there's kind of a lot for the media to work with. She was documenting this whole journey with her fiancé, the person of interest in this case. So there's a lot of video and images of her. But that being said, this is a trend that we've noticed before, that when it comes to cases where the victim in particular is a young white female, there's an awful lot of traditional media attention and social media attention. Can you sort of drill down on that a little bit? Why? What have you observed? Why do you believe that's the case?
It's harder to answer the why. We've spent many years quantifying the problem, but it's been more difficult to understand why. We think it's a number of factors. It's not just one cause. In part, it's consistent with our traditional standards of newsworthiness. It's sort of worked in the past, this missing white woman cautionary tale. And so it's used because, we know viewers will tune in and make money. In addition, we know that individuals of color may be less likely to have social capital and those network connections that are needed to launch and perhaps maintain a missing persons campaign.
Yeah, I talked about sort of the wealth of media available to the media, videos. We just ran a story where a young man said that he had seen the couple. And as I was listening to the story, I thought to myself, I wonder also if there's a tendency just in society to notice these young women more. So there are more people coming forward saying, oh, I saw them at a restaurant, I saw them arguing, because, maybe they didn't notice, the person of color who was in an argument as well at that restaurant. And so it's just the story as we use it in the phrase that we use in media is the story has legs in a way. But in the period of time that, Gabby Petito had gone missing, there have been other missing persons cases that have occurred in this country that are equally as concerning, as sinister. We have a missing geologist, Daniel Robinson. We have a musician, Lauren Cho, both missing under suspicious circumstances. I'm wondering what comes first. Is it the media attention that then leads to a more robust investigation? Or is there a more robust investigation by law enforcement that then gets the attention of the media?
The short of it is we don't know exactly how the process occurs. That's one of my areas of research, is identifying what exactly is the role of the media in the recovery process of a missing person. We know practitioners and law enforcement say that it's integral to a missing person investigation to have all of these eyes out there for the person. But we don't exactly know how that works in our society. It is greatly understudied. We think that they're all working together. Traditional media is watching social media are watching the people, and the people are doing what is consistent with how they perceive the world. So if they perceive these victims as ideal, because they've traditionally been ideal, then they don't even really think about it. They just like, click, share in that format. And it's hard to know exactly how that process works in temporal order.
Every time we've had this conversation before at CBS and certainly, in editorial meetings, maybe not enough, but if it's at times it feels like the media sort of slips back into what is easy, what they've done before, what's worked before. But we're kind of living in different times. I think we've seen a lot of frustration bubble over into the streets over the past year and a half or so, and there are changes being made. When it comes to this area, though, we're having this conversation now. We're naming the names of missing people of color who have gone missing. Do you expect to see any lasting change when it comes to the way the media covers crimes involving people of color, but particularly missing persons cases?
I am really, really hopeful that we'll see some change. This is the longest conversation we've ever had since I've been doing this work, but it will require community investment and government investment. So we don't really have a good system in our nation to investigate or protect individuals who are adults who go missing. So we have a pretty good system for our children, but we don't really know what to do in our nation. It's sort of scattered and broken as to a systematic way to investigate. So I hope that we get some dedicated government funds and efforts to combat this problem in a lasting and meaningful way. So it's not just these two cases that are getting attention now because we're having this conversation, but it's the thousands of others and the thousands of families that are suffering right now because of the lack of an organized system
and let's not
adults.
Definitely, and I also don't want to forget the hundreds of Native American women who have been missing over decades. It's almost an epidemic in this country. Many, many unsolved cases there as well. Michelle, Jeanis, thank you very much.
Thank you.